Hey, welcome back to the Historical Society podcast. I'm Cara,
And I'm Amanda.
and today we're going to do episode 15, E. Jean Carroll versus Donald J. Trump. And this case has been in the news recently as an appeal to the original case was rejected by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. So we decided to do the whole story, kind of give you a backstory on all that's gone on. So, before we get started, care to say anything else?
I think that sounded pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started.
All right.
So, who is E. Jean Carroll, if you don't already know? She's a journalist, an author, an advice columnist. Her column, Ask E. Jean, appeared in Elle magazine from 1993 until 2019 and was one of the longest-running advice columns in American publishing history. She was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1943. And now, who is Donald J. Trump, if you don't already know? Politician, media personality, and businessman. The 45th and now 47th President of the United States, born in Queens, New York in 1946. Okay, you want to take over
Yeah.
for a moment?
Okay, so an article came out in New York Magazine on June 21st, 2019, and then was published in print June 24th, 2019. And this article was written by E. Jean Carroll, and was actually a kind of a abridged version of her memoir that would be coming out in July. And the title of this article that appeared was My List of Hideous Men. And the cover of New York Magazine was a shot of E. Jean Carroll with the title, This is what I was wearing 23 years ago when Donald Trump attacked me in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. And her memoir then came out July 2nd of 2019. And this started a huge thing.
What was it called?
Her memoir is called What Do We Need Men For? A Modest Proposal. And it was published by St. Martin's Press.
Yeah.
And so this started
Anyway,
a huge
what were you
thing.
gonna say about it?
Yeah, I mean, this started a huge thing, and we're going to talk about all the cases that proceed from this, the article and the book release.
Basically from her coming forward with her story.
Right, exactly. And so what we thought we'd do now is actually read a segment from her memoir. And this is section 11, entitled Go Try This On. And this is where she
So
relates.
this is her interaction with Trump.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Do you want to read first or me?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
Before we begin, the two great handicaps to telling you what happened to me in Bergdorf's are A, the man I will be talking about, not to mention his team, his lawyers, his party, his friends on Fox News, will all deny it, as he has denied accusations of sexual misconduct made by at least 16 credible women. And earlier we agreed to just name them by first name. So we have Jessica, Kristen, Jill, Kathy, Temple, Karina, Virginia, Bridget. Wait, I think I read two names. Bridget, Tasha, Mindy, Rachel, Natasha, Jennifer, Jessica, Ninny, Summer, and Cassandra. And B, I run the risk of making him more popular by revealing what he did. His admirers can't get enough of hearing that he's rich enough, lusty enough, and powerful enough to be sued by and to pay off every splashy porn star or playboy playmate who comes forward. So I can't imagine how ecstatic the poor saps will be to hear their favorite walking phallus gutted on with an old lady in the world's most prestigious department store. There are several facts, however, and I will try to make them as unsexy as possible so as not to turn up the gonadal glow of his base. Gonadal glow of his base. Facts that are so odd that I want to clear them up now before we start. Okay.
Did I report the attack to the police? No. Did I tell anyone about the attack? Yes. I told two close friends. The first friend, a journalist, writer for New York and Vanity Fair magazines, correspondent on the TV morning shows, author of 8 books, etc., begged me to go to the police the night it happened. He raped you, she kept repeating when I called her. He raped you. Go to the police. I will go with you. We'll go together. She also said several times, E. Jean, I don't think this is funny. Because, and this is one of the strangest facts of all, I could not stop laughing. My second friend was also a journalist, a New York anchor person, whom I saw almost every day at work when I was doing the daily Ask E. Jean show on America's Talking and the wrap-up with Steve Doocy, a highlight show featuring clips from America's Talking with Roger Ailes which Roger Ailes ran on the weekends on CNBC. My friend grew very quiet when I told her, grasped both my hands in her own, and said, "Tell no one. Forget it. He has 200 lawyers. He'll bury you."
Do I have photos or any visual evidence? Bergdorf security cameras must have picked us up at the 58th Street entrance to the store. We would have been filmed on the ground floor in the bags and hats sections. Cameras also must have captured us going up the escalator, walking toward the lingerie department, and no doubt within the lingerie department. I'm not certain, but I think New York law at the time permitted security cameras in dressing rooms of department stores to prevent theft. The attack occurred almost 24 years ago. If it was captured on tape, depending on the position of the camera, it would be very difficult to see the man unzipping his pants because he was wearing a top coat. The struggle might simply have appeared as sexy. During the mid-90s, before all data was stored in the cloud, even a most painstakingly judicious company like Bergdorf Goodman probably erased the tapes after 90 days. But maybe, perhaps by some miracle, they have the evidence of the attack collected somewhere.
Do I have DNA evidence? I don't. I do not believe the man ejaculated. However...
She said she doesn't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I misread it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do I have DNA evidence? I don't know. I do not believe the man ejaculated. However, I never dry cleaned the Donna Karan coat dress. It's still hanging on the back door in my closet.
Do you want to keep reading?
Why were there no sales attendants in the lingerie department? Bergdorf Goodman's perfections are so well known. It is a store so noble, so gracious, so clubby, so posh, that it is almost easier to accept the fact that I was attacked than the fact that, for a very brief period, there was no sale attendant in the lingerie department. Inconceivable is the word. Sometimes a person won't find a sales attendant in Saks. It's true. Sometimes one has to look for a sales associate in Barney's, Bloomingdale's, or even Tiffany's. But 99% of the time, you will have an attendant in Bergdorf's. All I can say is, I did not, in this fleeting episode, see an attendant. And the other odd thing is that a dressing room door was open. In Bergdorf's dressing rooms, doors are usually closed and locked until a client wants to try something on.
Why haven't I come forward before now? Receiving death threats, being driven from my home, being dismissed, being dragged through the mud, and joining the 16 women who have come forward with credible stories about how the man grabbed, badgered, belittled, mauled, molested, and assaulted them, only to see the man turn it around, deny, threaten, and attack them doesn't sound like much fun. Also, I'm a coward. I'll keep reading for a minute. Have I suffered mental anguish, depression, anxiety, rape trauma syndrome, etc. due to the attack? Very little. It was a big event in my life and very frightening, but the incident has left me strangely untouched. I was slightly disordered immediately after, yes, but I've always been blessed with resilience through my 7 decades, and I only suffer when I think about what unbearable horrors other women may have suffered at his instigation. In fact, I've continued to shop at Bergdorf's. Recently, I bought a pair of Ted Muelling earrings for Robbie Myers, the editor-in-chief of Elle, when she stepped down after 17 years of running the magazine. And last week, Bergdorf's filled me to the brim with champagne, while Lisa Birnbach and I whooped or groaned at my niece Lauren Switzer as she tried on wedding dresses, and the attack never entered my head. Indeed, before 2015, when the man began appearing in the papers and on TV daily, I rarely thought of it. When he forced himself on the notice of the entire nation, I, like everyone else, tweeted jokes about him, complained to friends that America was going to hell in a handbasket, and so on. I'm fine. I can't explain it, but I never suffered. If I feel any agony at all, it is when I think what he did to me in that dressing room and what he is doing to the country today.
So now I will tell you what happened. This is during the years I'm doing the daily Ask E. Jean TV show, a small hit on the network Roger Ailes starts, called America's Talking, which soon becomes MSNBC. Bergdorf Goodman, the grand department store, has a side entrance on 58th Street. And early one evening, I am going out the revolving door, and one of New York's most famous men is coming in the revolving door. Or it could have been a regular door at the time, I can't recall. And he says, "Hey, you're that advice lady." And I say to number 20 on the most hideous men of my list, "Hey, you're that real estate tycoon." I am surprised at how good looking he is. We have met once before, and perhaps it is in the early evening light, but he looks prettier than ever. This has to be in the fall of 1995 or the spring of 1996 because he's garbled in a
Garbed.
garbed. Oh
Nice.
my gosh. Okay, because he's garbed in a faultless topcoat, and I'm wearing my black wool Donna Karan coat dress and high heels, but not a coat. I don't recall that I'm carrying shopping bags, so I must be, I can't remember, and I'm guessing, on my way out the door because I'm heading to Barney's to find whatever I can't get at Bergdorf's. Come advise me, says the man. I gotta buy a present. Oh, I say, charmed. For whom? A girl, he says. Don't the assistants of your secretaries buy things like that? I say. Not this one, he says. Or perhaps he says, not this time. I can't recall. He's a big talker, and from the instant we collide, he yammers about himself like he's Alexander the Great ready to loot the city of Babylon. As we are standing just inside the door, I point to the handbags. How about... No, he says, making the face where he pulls up both lips like he's balancing a spoon under his nose, and begins talking about he once thought about buying Bergdorf's. Or a hat, I say enthusiastically, walking toward the handbags, which, at the period I'm telling you about, in Bergdorf's, has been redone 2 or 3 times since 1995-96, are mixed in with and displayed next to the hats. She'll love a hat. You can't go wrong with a hat. I don't remember what he says, but he comes striding along, greeting a Bergdorf sales attendant like he owns the joint and permitting a shopper to gape in awe at him, and goes right for a fur number. Please, I say, no woman would wear a dead animal on her head. What he replies I don't recall, but I remember he coddles the fur hat like it's a baby otter. How old is the lady in question, I say. How old are you? Says the man, fondling the hat and looking at me like Louise Leakey carbon dating a thigh bone he's found in Olduvai Gorge.
Louis, I think.
What did I say? Louis?
Louise. Okay.
Yay. All right, you should take over.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you my age when you show me your tax return, is what I wish I'd said. It's now the answer I give to men who ask how old my female friends are when I'm fixing them up on blind dates. So how old am I? If I have run into this man in the fall of 1995 after my birthday, which is December 12th, or in the spring of 1996, my reply is 52. You're so old, he says, laughing. And it's at this point he drops the hat, looks across the store in the direction of the escalator, and says, lingerie. So we stroll to the escalator. I don't remember anybody else greeting him or galloping up to talk to him, which indicates how very few people are in the store at this time. I have no recollection where the lingerie is in 95-96 Bergdorf's, but it seems to me it's on the floor with the evening gowns and bathing suits, and when the man and I arrive, and my memory now is vivid, no one is present. There are 2 or 3 dainty boxes and a lacy, see-through bodysuit of lilac gray on the counter. The man snatches the bodysuit up and says, "Go try this on." "You try it on," I say, laughing. "It's your color. Try it on, come on," he says, throwing it at me. "It goes with your eyes," I say, laughing and throwing it back. "You're in good shape," he says, holding the filmy thing up against me. "I want to see how this looks." "But it's your size," I say, laughing and trying to slap him back with one of the boxes on the counter. "Come on," he says, taking my arm. "Let's put this on. This is going to be hilarious," I'm saying to myself, and as I write this, I'm staggered by my stupidity. As we head to the dressing rooms, I'm laughing aloud and saying in my mind, I'm going to make him put this thing on over his pants. The moment the dressing room door is closed, he lunges at me, pushes me against the wall, bumping my head quite badly, and puts his mouth against my lips. I'm so shocked, I shove him back and start laughing again. He seizes both my arms and pushes me up against the wall a second time, bumping my head, and as I become aware of how large he is, he holds me against the wall with his shoulder and jams his hand under my coat dress and pulls down my tights. I'm astonished by what I'm about to write. I keep laughing. The next moment, still wearing correct business attire, shirt, tie, suit jacket, overcoat, he opens the overcoat, unzips his pants, and forcing his fingers around my private area, then thrusts his penis halfway or completely, I'm not certain, inside of me. It turns into a colossal struggle. I'm too frightened to panic. I'm wearing a pair of sturdy black patent leather 4-inch Barney's high heels. I try to stomp his foot. I try to push him off with my one free hand, but for some reason I keep holding my purse with the other, and finally I get a knee up high enough to push him out and off. And I turn, open the door, run out of the dressing room. The whole episode lasts more than 2 or 3 minutes. No more than 2 or 3 minutes. I don't remember if any person or attendant is now in the lingerie department. I don't remember if I run for the elevator or if I take the slow ride down the escalator. As soon as I land on the main floor, I run through the store and out the door. I don't recall which door, and I find myself outside on Fifth Avenue, and that's it. That's hard to read. That's a lot of words.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
So that's the story of what happened to her in the dressing room. So it was a lot of words. I'm sorry I mispronounced a couple words.
No, it's hard to read because a lot of it's like very wordy, and
Yeah, it's
the
clearly
sentences are quite long.
yeah. Well, it's also told in her like way of speaking. You know, like I'm sure if she were in the room with us, this is how she would talk. And
Yeah.
so it's a little bit perhaps different than how you or I would discuss things. I would say things incorrectly and with improper grammar, you know. So, okay. So, what happened after this article and the book dropped?
Okay.
Donald Trump starts calling E. Jean Carroll a liar, saying she made the whole thing up. She's not his type. She's just trying to sell her new book, and that he doesn't know her at all. And then
Wow.
the next thing that happens, I didn't actually know this. So some of the major publishers in the United States, they didn't actually put this on the front page of their papers as a breaking story.
Yeah.
And the New York Times ends up basically admitting a mistake in saying how they feel like they didn't handle the story appropriately. And they said that they were overly cautious in their initial coverage. And then
Many other newspapers.
many other
did the same
newspapers,
thing.
yeah. And I think the only paper that put it, I believe, on their cover was the Washington Post. There's an article by Katie Sullivan at Media Matters for America, and she did a really short little blurb on this. And she wrote, so this is a story published June 22nd, 2019, so right after this story dropped. She wrote, a new report of sexual assault committed by President Donald Trump has come to light, but several major newspapers didn't find the story important enough to place on their front pages. And then she goes on to say, the next day, several major newspapers failed to report the story on their front pages, even though it is horrific, detailed, and extremely similar to the other accounts of numerous other women. It also echoes comments Trump has made in the past, saying in 2005, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. So,
Gross.
yeah. So that's a kind of interesting and how the media reacted to this story even. And so what ends up happening, E. Jean Carroll decides to sue Donald Trump because he continues to call her a liar, say a lot of really terrible things about her, and
deny what happened.
deny what happens, all of that. Saying he's never met her, or he doesn't know her at all, doesn't know who she is. And so she ends up deciding to sue him for defamation. And I'm just going to read a quick little blurb about that. This is an article from the Times called E. Jean Carroll, who accused Trump of rape, sues him for defamation. The writer says the president hurt her career when he said she lied about him attacking her in a dressing room in the 1990s. And this was written by Jan Ranson, published November 4th, 2019.
Yeah.
This says, now Ms. Carroll, a journalist and columnist for Elle magazine, has sued... Is it Elle magazine, by the way?
I think so.
Okay, just want to
Yeah.
make sure, because I've already said Louis today instead of Louis.
Louis.
Luis? I'd said it again. Louis, and Luis.
I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean,
Louis.
it could be Louis or Louis, but I don't think it's Louise.
That's true. Okay,
Could be. Maybe I'm wrong.
let me start. I'll start this.
I had a great grandfather named Doris, so who knows?
My grandpa's middle name was Shirley.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe it is Louise.
Maybe it is. Okay, let me start this over again. All right, so it says, now Ms. Carroll, a journalist and columnist for Elle magazine, has sued Mr. Trump for defamation, saying in a lawsuit filed in state court on Monday that Mr. Trump had damaged her reputation and her career when he denied her allegation in June. His statements about Ms. Carroll, the lawsuit said, are fully consistent with his tried and true playbook for responding to credible public reports that he sexually assaulted women. And then another little blurb from the article. Ms. Carroll said on
You want me to
Monday.
read it? Oh,
Sorry?
I was going to ask if you wanted me to
Go
read it. Okay.
ahead.
Ms. Carroll said on Monday during a phone interview that she was doing this for every woman who's come forward and was dragged through the mud, ridiculed, and called a liar. The purpose of the lawsuit is to demonstrate that even a man as powerful as Trump can be held accountable under the rule of law, the filing states. Okay. You want to keep going?
Yeah. And then there's another quote. Do you want to say this one too?
Is that this one?
Yeah. This is also from the same article.
Is it? Okay. It was just in different font, so I wasn't sure. Okay. When Carroll's account of what had happened to her was published, Donald Trump not only denied the rape, but denied ever having met Carroll or knowing who she was, said Robbie Kaplan, a lawyer for Miss Carroll. But Trump knew his statements were false and defamatory. He knew who Carroll was that day at Bergdorf Goodman, and he knows who she is now. Mr. Trump, who also suggested that Miss Carroll was conspiring with the Democratic Party to hurt him politically, injured the reputation on which she makes her livelihood and attracts readers, the lawsuit states. Ms. Carroll said that in the lawsuit that readers no longer want to write to a woman the president has branded a liar and that her column has received 50% fewer letters from readers. From Twitter, she wrote on Twitter, "Because Trump ridiculed my reputation, laughed at my looks, and dragged me through the mud after 26 years, Elle has fired me." Eugene Carroll's lawyer, Robbie Kaplan, is the same lawyer that successfully argued on behalf of her client, Edith Windsor. What's up?
No, I wanted to, so this isn't part, yeah. So that was from Twitter. So this is not part of the article.
Yeah.
So that was a quote from Eugene Carroll's from Twitter. And then this is a little blurb about Eugene Carroll's lawyer. Yeah.
Okay, so her lawyer, Robbie Kaplan, is the same lawyer that successfully argued on behalf of her client, Edith Windsor, before the U.S. Supreme Court in the United States versus Windsor. In this case, the Supreme Court ruled that a key provision of the Defense of Marriage Act violated the U.S. Constitution by barring legally married same-sex couples from enjoying the wide-ranging benefits of marriage conferred under federal law.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the legal dance begins.
Yeah. I wanted to do a little blurb about who Roberta Kaplan was, just because, I mean, she's a pretty high-profile lawyer, so to kind of give a, little synopsis. She's done a lot of other big cases as well. Yeah, and so like Cara said, the legal dance began. And this was shocking to me, what we're going to uncover now. So we're at the place in the story. The story comes out. Trump says a bunch of terrible things, and then Eugene Carroll responds with this lawsuit. And now, after this point, I didn't know a lot of this information. I didn't know how convoluted this gets. So...
but I will say it's probably, well, I think it is par for the course. Cases take forever.
Right. And I think
frivolous or not.
That's something that I don't think a large portion of the general population understands or knows. Just how long and how complicated legal trials are, or any type of trial.
How long they can drag on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't know it,
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't know a lot of things. How to say Lewis. Many things. Okay, so basically what happens, the Trump defense team starts to undergo a lot of type of legal maneuvering to try to either get rid of the case, delay the case, a bunch of things. And so the first thing he tries to do, that the defense team tries to do, is get it thrown out. That's the first thing they try to do. And that doesn't work. So then they move on to trying to delay the case. And then the New York judge rules against Trump and says, no, the case has to move forward. And then Trump, because he was president at the time, says that the case should be tried in a federal court, and that then the Justice Department, the Trump Justice Department under William Barr, gets involved and believes now that because he was president, he should be immune from these basically comments that he made because they were official presidential comments. And so that's what they're trying to argue. The whole time they're trying to get this case dismissed. That's the idea. And so they start down this path of trying to get the...
Did you say the part about how he wanted it tried in federal court so the Justice Department would defend him?
No.
They would represent
right.
him? And then if he loses, that the U.S. taxpayers would have to pay the reward?
Right. I didn't say that part yet, but that's what happens, yeah. So that's what he wants.
Sorry, you were talking about the federal court case first. So.
Right. And so eventually a judge rules that they cannot represent him. But it's appealed. And what's super weird is the Biden administration under Merrick Garland, he takes it he takes the appeal up on behalf of Trump. Like, he wants the federal government to represent him.
He
continued it. Yep. And then
Yeah.
that eventually fails as well.
The judge blocked it, and it continued under Trump's defense team.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so because this first lawsuit from 2019 faced challenges related to presidential immunity and official acts of office, Carroll filed another defamation lawsuit in New York State after a new law was passed. This time, the defamation was based on statements he made after leaving office in a social media post that accused Carroll of lying and labeled her a complete con job. Carroll's new lawsuit included a claim of battery against Mr. Trump under the new state law, the Adult Survivors Act, which gives adult sexual assault victims a one-time window to file civil lawsuits, even if the statute of limitation expired years earlier. So I was curious about I took this from an article, the battery claim. I mean, I guess it's referring to the sexual assault claim. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's better how you should say it. Okay, so Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, filed the new lawsuit on November 24th of 2022, which was the start of the period in which the new law allowed suits under the Adult Survivors Act to be brought.
Yeah.
Roberta Kaplan also asked the judge that the new suit be tried with Ms. Carroll's original case, the one she filed in 2019. And then, of course, after this, there are more delaying tactics by the Trump team. And then finally, this second lawsuit, so these two lawsuits, a lot of times they're referred to as, the first one from 2019 is people refer to as Carroll 1, and then the second lawsuit from 2022 is referred to as Carroll 2. And that case, Carroll 2, was finally brought to trial in April of 2023. So that's how long. So it had been 4 years since the original filing of Carroll 1. And now, finally, the second trial goes first.
But that's not that long, a year.
No, that was not a long time. But
yeah.
the fact that the first one hasn't even, because of all the other legal stuff related to the manner in which it was filed. Yeah. Okay, so this first trial, which is Carroll 2. The judge for this trial is Judge Lewis A. Kaplan, and Roberta Kaplan is the lead attorney for Eugene Carroll, and Joseph, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Tecopina
Who cares?
as the lead defense attorney for Donald Trump. So those are kind of the main actors in this story on this trial. Okay, so things that Trump said during this trial, and some of this I gathered from a video. I'm going to play part of this video for you. This video was... Trump was under deposition on October 19th of 2022, and this would have been done pre-trial, I think, during the discovery process. And in it, the video, Roberta Kaplan is questioning Donald Trump. And some of the things that Trump says about Eugene Carroll during this video, he says, "I think she's sick, mentally sick. This is a hoax. I think she's a whack job. I don't know anything about this woman." So those are just kind of like, what he's already been saying on social media. He also says under oath as well. And
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then some of the things that Carroll said on the stand during this trial as well, I just wrote down a couple. These are kind of like not exact quotes, but by telling the story about Trump, she felt it would be this is the quote, "a way to change the culture of sexual violence, and hoping, quote, we can actually change things if we all tell our stories." I thought that was kind of a profound thing. And then the next thing, it takes sometimes years to get the courage to face the person who hurt you, if at all. So just like little blurbs from her testimony. All right. So I really want to share this recording because I feel like it's interesting to see this in the light of this case and to put it together. Yeah. So back when Trump ran for office in 2015, I guess it was 2015, the Access Hollywood. Wait, I don't know what year. Was it 2016? I'm trying to think of what.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, it would have been 2016. It was 2016. Yeah. So I remember when this tape came out, and I literally thought this Access Hollywood tape. I was like, "That's it. It's over. Like, he will not be president." And yeah, if only. Here we are. So,
October 16.
October 16th. Okay, so Roberta Kaplan argued that this be allowed as evidence in this trial, and the judge permitted it. And so I'm going to play the recording. And so what happened?
Are you also going to play the deposition?
This is the deposition. This is part of the deposition.
Oh, it's included.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to play Trump watching this video, the courtroom watching this video, and then Trump responds briefly to it in the deposition. Actually, sorry, it's not the courtroom. It would be it's I guess Trump with Roberta Kaplan and a court reporter or something. And I'm assuming Trump's counsel. Okay, so they play the recording. They ask him questions about it. He admits to taking this woman he talks about shopping, and he never says he didn't do what he talks about on this tape either. He doesn't say it.
And it's another woman. I mean, the fact that they're shopping is just
it's just random woman, who's married. And listen to how he talks about her. Listen to how he talks about women in general, and he doesn't deny any of it. Doesn't say.
I just wanted to clarify that it's not E. Jean Carroll in this example.
No, it's not. It's not E. Jean Carroll.
Shopping.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. It's another woman that he's also trying to go shopping with, and what he has in mind of what he's really wanting to do with this woman who's shopping. Yeah. He's also apparently either engaged or married to Melania at this time during the Access Hollywood tape. So,
lucky lady.
Yeah, lucky lady. And he admits to he thinks he's a star, and he calls all this talk that we're going to hear locker room talk, because that's how people talk. But he doesn't deny it. He doesn't deny what he's saying either, though. Okay. And so the video, you can actually Google this, and it's on the majority of major networks' websites as a YouTube video. So I took this from ABC7 New York, and they published this video the day it came out, became public, May 5th, 2023. And they, the way it's written, that it makes me think there is a full, really, really long version of this. This is also really long, but it has been redacted a little bit, apparently. Okay. Again, so the recording's from October 19th of 2022. Trump is under deposition. And just in case anyone, so I wanted to make sure I knew what under deposition meant, so I needed to know. So I looked this up. Under deposition means that a person is currently giving sworn testimony outside of court, where they are being asked questions by a lawyer and their answers are being recorded by a court reporter as part of the pre-trial discovery process in a legal case. Essentially, pre-trial. What did I say?
Tree trial.
Nuh-uh. Okay, oops. All right.
It was close. I think it was, yeah.
Okay, so they are being questioned under oath in a formal setting outside of the courtroom. So that's what under deposition means. And while I start this video, you're going to hear Trump say something really fast, and then there's going to be silence, and it's just the video is starting to play, and there's a warning that appears on the screen that says it could be what you're going to hear. It could be graphic. So there's a little bit of a pause, but don't worry.
And we should say that too.
Yeah, don't worry. The video will come after the pause. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to attempt to share my screen.
Trigger warning.
And also trigger warning. Yeah, because it's unpleasant. Okay.
It's graphic.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully. It's always questionable.
Yeah, I didn't mean to call out. I was just clarifying pre-trial. It's just like a little slip of the tongue.
Yeah, totally. I have those a lot. It's okay.
I do too. We all do.
I know, but I mean, it's okay. You call them out because I don't always even notice I do. Okay, here we go. Let me attempt to share this video. Okay, please don't play a commercial.
Eggs.
Yeah, that's what the ones that keeps popping up. Yes.
I have no idea.
Are you familiar, I'm sure you are, with something that's often referred to as the Access Hollywood tape?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's mark it and play it as
Here's the pause.
35.
Oh no.
Eggs make all our family moments better, especially
I keep getting this eggs commercial. Aww.
when they're Eggland's best.
And there's an internet delay to boot.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Oh, that's funny.
Deliciously superior nutrition.
6 times the vitamin D.
For us, it's eggs any style, as long
Yay,
as they're the
Eggland's.
best.
Okay.
Eggland's best.
I'm going to hit pause to see if it can. Okay, so here's the editor's note. I'm so sorry, but well, what are you gonna do?
Low
It's-
budget production.
It's funny because that has been the commercial that's played on this video all day. Like every time I try to watch this video, it's Eglin's best. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try to start this video. Hopefully it doesn't play again. Really sorry about that.
That's so funny.
Okay. Hopefully it's not glitchy because it looks like it's getting slow. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
You know,
She
and
used to be very. She's still very
I
beautiful.
moved on her actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed.
doesn't seem
I'll
to be-
admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
Huge news there.
Oh no, Nancy.
Yeah.
No, this was, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, "I'll show you where they have some nice furniture." I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as shit. In the purple.
Whoa!
Okay, Kara's
Yes.
letting me know
Whoa.
it's sounding glitchy.
Donald is.
To me, yeah.
It's glitchy. It's not,
Yeah.
but
Okay, then maybe it's fine.
I hope it's fine. We hope it's fine.
Okay.
If not, I can probably try to. I don't know how to do that. I'll try to figure out. Okay,
Well, let's just keep going.
let's
if
just
it's
keep
fine on your
going.
end,
It's
so.
fine on my end, but here's hoping. Okay.
Good. Oh my man. Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of your
Remember,
like,
set this up.
That is
Will
very.
you give me the thumbs
Look
up?
at you. You are a.
You gotta put the thumbs up. You gotta get the thumbs up. Can't be too happy.
First? Yeah, let me.
It's very
You
funny.
gotta give the thumbs up.
You and I will walk there.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's her. It's
Yeah, that's her with the gold. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
Get those legs. All I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, nice legs, huh?
Oof. Get out of the way, honey. That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the hand.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Trump, how
Nice
are
seeing you.
Pleasure to
Terrific.
meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
Hello,
How are
nice
you?
to see you. How you doing, Ariane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? He just got off the
Would you
bus.
like a little hug,
Okay,
darling?
absolutely.
How about a
Melania
little
said
hug for
this
the
was
bushy? I
okay.
just got-
That's you in that video, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And am I correct that that video was recorded in January, withdrawn? Am I correct that that video was recorded in September 2005?
I guess that would, I don't know the date, but whatever date it was is fine with me.
And am I correct that you were engaged to your current wife sometime in 2004?
I don't know.
Am I correct that you married your current wife in January 2005?
I don't know relative to that tape. No.
And the person you were speaking to, it's now famous in that video, was Billy Bush.
That's right.
Please
This
let
is
me.
very old news, fully litigated during debates, during everything else, fully litigated.
Okay.
And you know what I said then, and I say it now? Locker room talk. That was locker room talk.
Okay.
That's what goes on.
And you did say in the video that you, quote, moved on her heavily, correct?
Excuse me?
You do say in the video that you, quote,
Yeah.
moved on her heavily.
I did say that, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And you do say in the video that as part of trying to have sex with this woman, you took her furniture shopping, correct?
We actually did look for furniture, yes.
So that was true. You actually
Quick.
took this woman,
I
Nancy.
think so. I mean,
furniture
it's been
shopping.
a long time ago. It's how long was that? A long time ago. But I think so. I do think so.
Is that the only occasion when you took a woman shopping?
I think so.
And you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
And now you said before, a couple of minutes ago, that this was just locker room talk.
It's locker room talk.
And so does that mean that you didn't really mean it?
No, it's locker room talk. I don't know. It's just the way people talk.
Okay. Now,
Goodness, that's crazy. Are you still there, Cara?
Yeah. Sorry, it's super glitchy on this end.
Okay. I hope it's okay.
But yes, I'm
I guess
still
we'll find out.
Guess we'll find
Guess
out.
we'll find out. Okay. All right.
God, he's so gross.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. I mean, it's just shocking to me that he's like, oh, it's just me kidding around. None of that's real. But he's like, no, I did that. Yeah, I took her shopping. Yeah, I wanted to have sex with her. And
He's
yeah.
not even, he's just like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. Like, I can do that because I'm a star. That's just the way it is. Fortunately or unfortunately.
Yeah, it's gross.
Wow. I can't believe people voted for this man. I'm still shocked.
Just so gross.
Okay. All right. So back to this case. So the Trump defense team chose in the end to call 0 witnesses. Apparently they had 2 people in mind, and then one person dropped out or something, and then the other person got sick, supposedly. And then I learned from a Politico article that 11 people testified in the case on behalf of the plaintiff, E. Jean Carroll. And the article was entitled 11 Witnesses Testified in Donald Trump's Rape Trial by Erica Orden, published May 5th, 2023. And I just thought this was sort of interesting. So obviously E. Jean Carroll does testify under oath and is cross-examined. The 2 women who E. Jean Carroll confided in after the assault, Carol Martin and Lisa Birnbach, they corroborated her account. Then Cheryl Beal, a former employee at Bergdorf Goodman, who said there wouldn't have been many people in the department store when the alleged assault occurred. And then you have Robert Salerno, also a former employee. He actually testifies that he didn't think there were security cameras on the floor where the alleged assault occurred, and that the store would have been opened late on that day in question. And then this is also interesting, and Cara, you'll read a little bit about these women in a second. So the judge also allowed Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoyanov to testify. We'll say something about them in a second. And then E. Jean Carroll's sister testified. And then Leslie Leibowitz, a clinical psychologist. Leibowitz, the clinical psychologist who interviewed Carroll to show she suffered from several psychological conditions attributable to the alleged rape. And then the final 2 witnesses to show damages and the value of damages caused to E. Jean Carroll, her career, by Trump's defamation. The associate professor at Northwestern University, Medill School of Journalism, Media, and Integrated Marketing Communication, Ashley Humphreys, and former editor-in-chief at Elle Magazine, Roberta Myers. And I think she referred to her in her account. I think Robbie, or maybe she went by that. Okay, so Cara, you were going to read the 2 women who were allowed to testify to show a pattern of behavior by Trump.
Okay. So the 2 women allowed to testify, we have Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoyanov. Both of these women show that Trump has a habit of sexually assaulting women. Jessica Leeds, a retired businesswoman from Asheville, North Carolina, she testified that in the late 1970s, she randomly encountered Trump on an airplane when the 2 were seated next to each other. According to Leeds, Trump sexually assaulted her during the flight, groping her breasts and attempting to put his hand up her skirt. Natasha Stoyanov, a former People magazine reporter. She testified that in 2005, she traveled to Mar-a-Lago to write a story about the upcoming 1-year wedding anniversary of Trump and his wife, Melania. Finding herself alone in a room with Trump, Stoyanov said he pushed her against a wall and started kissing her without her consent. Wow.
Yeah.
Doing a story on his 1-year anniversary with his wife.
Right. Sexually assaults a woman. Amazing.
Neato.
Yeah. All right. So the jury makes a decision in this case. And I'll just read a little bit from a New York Times article because I think they did a good summary. Donald Trump sexually abused and defamed E. Jean Carroll, jury finds. The ex-president must pay Ms. Carroll $5 million. More than a dozen women have accused Mr. Trump of sexual misconduct, but this civil case was the only one tested before a jury. And this article was written by Benjamin Weiser, Lola Fudulu, and Kate Christobeck.
Sorry.
Weezer? Visor? No?
Stop.
What? Because if it's German, it would be Visor.
Okay, it's just...
Benjamin Visor.
I just saw those coming up and I was like, oh god.
Lola Fudulu. I think that's a fun name.
No, don't make... It sounds like you're making fun of
No,
me
it's a
now.
nice name.
I don't want to do that. Okay.
Okay.
Let's just move on.
All right. That was published May 9th of 2023. All right. A Manhattan jury on Tuesday found former President Donald Trump liable for sexually abusing and defaming E. Jean Carroll and awarded her $5 million in damages. More than a dozen women have accused Mr. Trump of sexual misconduct over the years, but this is the only allegation to be affirmed by a jury. In the civil case, the federal jury of 6 men and 3 women found that Ms. Carroll, 79, a former magazine writer, had sufficiently proved that Mr. Trump sexually abused her nearly 30 years ago in a dressing room of the Bergdorf Goodman department store in Manhattan. The jury did not, however, find that he had raped her, as she had long claimed. The jury, in returning the verdict shortly before 3 p.m., also found that Mr. Trump, who is running to regain the presidency, defamed Ms. Carroll in October when he posted a statement on his Truth Social platform calling her case a complete con job and a hoax and a lie. His lawyer said he intended to appeal. And then I knew I had read this somewhere about this case. The judge actually clarifies a little bit about the rape concept. And so the judge clarified in comments from July and September of 2023 that even though the jury found that Mr. Trump had assaulted Ms. Carroll only with his fingers, her rape claim was substantially true under common modern parlance, and that the jury implicitly found Mr. Trump did in fact digitally rape Ms. Carroll. So, the judge is saying that about this case, though, I think the legally safe way of talking about this is to say that he was found liable for sexual abuse. But that's the judge is saying that who oversaw this case. So that's his clarifying statements. Okay, so then what happens to that original case? And so the next case that actually happens is that 2019 case. That's Carroll 1, and that's the original defamation case. And this finally came into being taken up by that court in January of 2024, so just this past year. And this case is where the jury would decide what damages would be paid to E. Jean Carroll, given that the last case found he defamed her, and those defamatory comments from 2022 basically were the same from 2019. And in that particular case, Carroll sought $10 million in damages. And basically what ended up happening, really something huge, basically, right? So the jury, that she was asking for $10 million, and the jury ended up ruling that Trump would have to pay $83.3 million to her, which is amazing. It's amazing.
See if he'll ever do it. But
yeah. And so, let's see. There's a New York Times article, Why Donald Trump is Facing E. Jean Carroll in court a second time. The jury already found the former president sexually assaulted E. Jean Carroll, a former magazine writer, and defamed her. Why is he in court again? By Marie Kramer and Kate Christobeck. They write, in September, he ruled that even though the jury found that Mr. Trump had assaulted Carroll only with his fingers, her rape claim was substantially true under common modern parlance. So this is also from there. He thus limited the trial that began Tuesday in January to one issue: what damages, if any, Mr. Trump must pay Ms. Carroll for defaming her in 2019. And so again, the decision, like I said, the jury on January 26th of 2024 ordered Donald Trump to pay a total of $83.3 million to E. Jean Carroll for ruining her career and financial prospects. And the jury awarded Carroll $65 million in punitive damages, $11 million for the damage to her reputation, and another $7.3 million, which is wow. That's a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And so the other reason why at the beginning of this podcast, I just realized that probably sounded really weird.
No.
No, not at all. Okay. So at the very beginning of this podcast, we said that there had been this case that just happened, that was just decided, and that's what caused us to think we should talk about this case on a podcast.
Beginning of this episode.
Yeah, at the beginning of this episode. And so that was Trump's appeal about Carroll 2. He was appealing Carroll 2, which was the case where
Really?
Yeah.
What the first case that made
The first
it to court.
case that made it to court. And so that was the one that involved the being found liable for sexual
Right.
abuse, and then the original defamation lawsuit as well. So it was like, no, sorry, not the original, but the two, they were tied together in that second lawsuit. There were two things in that second lawsuit. And so another New York Times article, I've been pulling a lot from there. Trump loses appeal of Carroll's $5 million award in sex abuse case. The president-elect had asked a court to overturn the defamation judgment against him in the case, which centered on E. Jean Carroll's account of a sexual attack in a dressing room. All right, this is by Lola Fadulu and published December 30th, 2024, so just last week. And I can just read a really quick clip from that. President-elect Donald Trump on Monday failed to overturn a $5 million judgment that he sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll. Mr. Trump's lawyers argued to a federal appeals panel that a lower court in Manhattan had erred by allowing two women to testify in the Carroll trial that he had also sexually assaulted them. The lawyers also argued that the court should not have allowed Ms. Carroll's lawyers to play the recording of the Access Hollywood conversation in which Mr. Trump bragged in vulgar terms about grabbing women by the genitals. The appeals court rejected Mr. Trump's request for a new trial in the case, which produced the smaller of two defamation judgments against him. Mr. Trump has not demonstrated that the district court erred in any of the challenged rulings, the opinion by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit said. And of course, Trump's lawyers, they're now saying they're going to appeal the appeal.
So you can't use his words against him, and because he's done it to other women, that shouldn't count toward. I don't understand this about the law in general. Like why they're not allowed to, like, if, like, for instance, if something happens in one state and then another state, a separate state, how they can't put those together. They have to be tried. It seems like they have to be tried in the different cases. That's my in the different states. That's my understanding. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I don't understand why.
If they're taken up federally, maybe they could be done together.
Yeah, it seems like it makes. I mean, this. I would assume why trying a sexual assault case.
That's often the case with sexual assault.
Difficult
crimes.
Because.
And rape, they don't allow.
Yeah.
Women to come in and testify to a method of behavior.
Right, and I'm assuming.
Why, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's the same behavior.
You would think you would want to know that as a jury member. Has this person done this before?
It would be pertinent. I think is the point, right?
Exactly. And yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I'm assuming without any type of legal background that this case, the judge allowed it in this case, given that it was a civil case, not a criminal case.
Don't know, but maybe.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
It's ridiculous. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah. And so hopefully that was a little eye-opening for the listeners. Kind of seeing the lengthy nature of any type of lawsuit and kind of remembering who Donald Trump is, remembering the Access Hollywood tape, remembering this particular instance of sexual abuse, and also hearing about the other women who have had very similar things happen. And there are over 20 women who have come forward with different accounts about Donald Trump. And so this is not something new. This is not something, it's shows a pattern of behavior. And
what really pisses me off about men who do this is they have the nerve, first of all, to do it, to violate somebody, but then to degrade them. It's like, these are your actions. Now you're gonna victimize someone in one of the worst ways you can victimize a woman. Then you're gonna defame them and like pick on their appearance and their talent and their whatever it is. It's just that is disgusting.
And then you're gonna say that you're the victim. Where I'm the victim of a witch hunt. I'm a victim of a blah blah blah. it's very much a pattern of behavior. Yeah.
Just makes them look more foolish than they already do. But when those things will be made to shame them, I don't know.
Right. That's nuts.
It's like what Giselle Pellico is saying. The shame deserves to be on the men who commit these crimes.
Right. Need to switch sides. Go to that side. For sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And referencing Deborah Turkheimer's book, Credible, she talks about how we should not be so concerned with what defense attorneys and I guess defendants then are saying in defense of their crimes. We should be more concerned that they're being accepted by our culture, accepted by the jury, accepted by judges.
Right.
We should be more concerned with that.
It's very concerning.
True.
I mean, it's very concerning that we have a political candidate for the first time that I can think of who has a laundry list of credible allegations, sexual misconduct allegations against him.
And all he has to say is, I didn't do it. All most of these men have to say is, I didn't do it. And people are like,
you should be president. You should definitely be president. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're married, that goes for you. If you have kids, that goes for you.
Right.
It's like any little thing. People need to open their eyes.
Right. I know.
Which I think it's starting to happen very slowly.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean,
very slowly.
I think, what we see a lot of times is in justice and social justice that it's like you have this moment of movement forward, significant movement forward, and then there seems to be something that rises up, in the segment of the population that isn't awake to it, doesn't understand, maybe is evil a little, something.
I think there's
and they rise up against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rise up against what?
The change, the positive social change.
Oh.
And so, I mean, you see that throughout in regard to racism in the country. And I think this is one of those moments where you saw the Me Too movement happen, you saw positive change happen, and now we're back into this, like, circling the wagons around men who are accused, like pretending like sexual assault's not a big deal, not believing women, forcing women to try to force women to live in a particular role. That's it. This is all you get. Be happy. And we won't believe you.
I think there are varying degrees of varying reasons why people respond the way they do to these things. But I do think, psychologically speaking, it's hard for people to understand that people who are seemingly normal, people who present themselves to you in a certain way, can be capable of evil, awful things, and also have treated you well, and also have behaved in a way that makes you think they're decent. It's just, people are more complex.
Right.
And then I think there are people who are likely just evil or don't
care,
ducks in a row.
Yeah. Or selfish, self-centered. They're like, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad.
But
and before we're done, I also just wanted to take the time to remember the other women that we haven't talked about who have come forward publicly with their stories about Donald Trump. We remember their bravery and their courage, and we believe them and we support them. And, that goes for all women out there as well.
Yep. Because it's an uphill battle. That's for
yeah.
sure.
And hopefully,
Not easy.
we all learned in this episode the fortitude, the determination, the patience that's required by victims to try to find justice. And the difficulty of that.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. It's just, there is absolutely no upside to doing it. I don't know how many times that needs to be said, but I feel like it needs to be said.
Yeah. I mean, the upside is it's a selfless act that you try to better society for other women.
Well, sure, I guess I meant an upside.
I know, that's the only
person
upside.
directly.
And it's sacrificial in many ways.
It destroys
Yeah,
you.
you're sacrificing yourself again after being a victim of something horrific to try to move the needle for positive change so that other women don't have to go through the same thing, whether you're protecting other women from being victimized by that particular man or you think about it in a general, like, overarching, making the world better for women, safer for women in general. But it's not a walk through the park. It's not for fun. Nope.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. You don't gain anything.
Right. Okay. So, I don't know.
but it's important.
It's extremely important. And that's the only way so often change actually
And
happens.
I would do it. I would do it again and again. Every decision I've made to do that personally,
Right.
I would do it
You know, and most of the
again and again.
real lasting change that we see anywhere in regards to social justice has always involved people putting themselves in harm's way to push that boundary, to, you know, pull back the curtain, to whatever.
It's important.
It's always, you know, it's a loss for those people.
For me, it was integrity. I wanted my integrity restored, even though, you know, people don't deserve to make you feel like they've taken that from you, but
Right.
it certainly feels like they have when something like that happens.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Well, we thank you for joining us, and we hope that the next several episodes will be a little bit more uplifting. We do have another heavier one coming up. We're going to focus back on the Giselle Pellico case from France because that resolved.
yeah.
We're going to talk about that again. We have already spoken about that. I believe it was episode 4. So, but we're going to also do a series on pathways of healing because we talk about these really, really heavy traumatic topics and circumstances and events, and we want to help people find help and healing from those types of really damaging traumas. So those episodes will be coming up. We hope to have at least 3, maybe 4 of those. They'll be kind of spread throughout the spring, hopefully, fingers crossed, with actual guests outside of just Cara and I, and, you know, so that would be fun. You hear from other people besides us.
I actually just want to clarify that you don't gain anything by coming forward, but I'm not saying that it's not a worthwhile cause.
No, I know.
And or that you can't heal from it and you can't get back on your feet.
Right.
It takes work, but yeah, I don't want that to sound so negative, but
Yeah.
I just get tired of the people that say you're doing it for a reason. You're doing it for some perk or some
Right.
gain, which is not
Right.
true.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's all.
Yep.
Wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Cara?
We're done.
Okay, we're done. Thank you for joining us.
See you next time.
All right. Bye.